Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul with Justin MIRIGLIANI, and we are on USA Global TV and Radio. I want to thank you. Last week I was out sick, and the rerun of the show before wound up going #1 this week. So maybe that's what I have to do, is just kind of call them in, and maybe that'll make them #1. But kind of funny that it was a pre-recorded show that they went #1. So this week I want to get to it really quickly because we only have 40 minutes, and there's a lot to cover. So the jersey I'm wearing right now is a Flyers jersey that actually my wife gave me as an engagement gift. As you know, I've talked about it on the show, my wife and I are getting divorced, but I still cherish the jersey, even though that chapter of our lives is over. It's still important to me because it meant something at the time, and it still does. It doesn't change that. But it seems like a strange gift that your fiance at 29 years old would give you a Pelle Lindbergh jersey for an engagement. I mean, there's so many other things that people would think about as an engagement gift, and why is that? And even before my wife, Amy, I had a girlfriend named Jamie who went to Cabrini, and we were together for a short time, and we had one Christmas together. And she bought me a bunch of Pelle Lindbergh memorabilia for Christmas that year. It was Christmas of '96. So I remember everybody knew that I was a Pelle Lindbergh junkie. And I just want to go through why that happened. Hockey wasn't just hockey to me. It was a celebration. It was Christmas. It was all of these different things. It was my birthday, because my birthday is December 20th. Obviously, Christmas is in there. My mom and dad's birthdays are the 21st and the 28th of December. You have New Year's in there. Families around. It's just after Thanksgiving, and it's a great time. And we would have family parties, and we'd lay on the floor and watch the Flyers games with my cousins, my cousin Joe. In fact, my cousin Joe and I just exchanged letters last week just to kind of tell each other what we thought about each other and how much we meant to each other. And one of the biggest things I told him was that, when and if he passes, because he's 20 years older than me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at a hockey rink again. It's not the hockey; it's what the hockey stood for. It was the gatherings and the family time and the excitement of the games. And when the Flyers in '85, that was the biggest year that I enjoyed them. In '84, '85 was the first year that I watched them before, but you're talking about I was 7, 8 years old. Yeah, in '84, '85, I was 9, turning 10. So a little bit older, able to understand a lot more, understood the game really well. I mean, even the adult men in the neighborhood were amazed at what I knew about it, because I'm an obsessive person. I'm a type A personality. If I like something and I'm into it, I'm into it. I'm just going to go full bore. And that's what I did. I went, like, everything was hockey. I ate, slept, and breathed hockey. And it was just everything. Played hockey and was actually pretty good at it. Played in a league, which I didn't expect to be good. I didn't expect to be that good of a player. But That 84-85 team was supposed to go nowhere. There were a bunch of kids, a lot of rookies and 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, and their best player was their goaltender, Pelle Lindbergh, who had come over from Sweden, won a gold medal, or no, I'm sorry, a bronze medal. And when the U.S. won the gold medal in 1980, the Swedes were the only ones who tied them. The United States had an unblemished record except for the tie, and that was with Sweden. It was 2-2, and Pelle Lindbergh was the main reason why. So Pelle Lindbergh became a hero to me in 84-85, somebody who I looked up to. I lived through. I didn't always feel. I lived through all the Flyers, really. Oh, we have a comment. Let's take that. Hey, Jim. Oh, it's Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Good to see you. Kevin Katie was one of the best friends Pelle Lindbergh ever had. They were very, very close. And Kevin's a great friend of mine now. And he's told me so many great stories, beautiful stories about who Pelle was. And I know when I die that I'll get a chance to meet him. I just know. I pray sometimes and say to Pelle, just give me one penalty shot against you, and he'll stone me. You know what? He probably won't. He'll probably let it go in and make me think I scored. But anyway, it was just so amazing what would happen in the neighborhood. 84-85, they weren't supposed to win. They were supposed to come in fourth. They wound up being the best team in the league and going to the Stanley Cup Finals. And Pelle Lindbergh won the Vezina Trophy. He was the number one goaltender in the NHL. And I mean, the whole city was Pelle Lindbergh. You go to the games and there are Pelle Lindbergh jerseys everywhere, all over the place. And his autograph sessions were the longest ones around the building. I got a picture of him from about 15 feet away that my father took. And that's as close as we could get. I never got a chance to shake his hand, never got a chance to meet him. So he meant a lot to me. And when you're 9 and 10 years old, those things stick. It's not the same as when you're 20 or 30 years old. So at 9 years old, I was enamored, and then at 10 years old, just he's my hero. He's 200 feet tall and bulletproof. So I got up on a Sunday morning, November 10th, 1985, and my dad took us down to a communion breakfast at our church in South Philly. It was St. Monica Church, and they had a communion breakfast. So we went to Mass, and then after Mass, we went over to the hall to have breakfast, and it was a great morning. And the Villanova Wildcats just won the national championship in basketball that year. So the spokesperson was Rollie Massimino. And I liked all sports. So when I saw Rollie Massimino, I was really excited. It was really cool. And Rollie was talking to me. It just happened that I was the kid that was in front of him at the time. And somebody said, "Can I get your attention?" And he was talking about the man of the year. They were giving out an award. And I'll never forget, Rollie Massimino put his arms on my shoulders and just rested up against me. And it was like, wow, this super coach, right? That's a national champion is hanging out with me. And how cool is this? I'm 10 years old and it's such an incredible day. Like, who would have thought? And then we got outside and a lady said, "I've been crying all morning." And we said, "Well, why? What's going on? Why are you crying?" And she said, "The Flyers' young goalie was in a car accident." And we didn't know if it was Pelle Lindbergh or Bob Froese. I mean, obviously it was serious. And she said, he's very injured. So we listened to the car coming home, and nothing came on the radio yet. And then I remember my father went upstairs to change in our little tiny South Philly row home. And finally, on the news radio station, KYW, it came on, Pelle Lindbergh is gravely injured in a car accident this morning. And I ran upstairs as fast as I could, and my dad had the radio on upstairs too. He was waiting for me to come in the room. He was already waiting to look, and you could see the look of like, oh God, I'm going to have to tell him what this is all about. And at first, we didn't know how bad it was. I mean, the people around him did. Obviously, the people outside, like fans, didn't know how bad it was. But as the day progressed, of course, it got worse and worse. And then when we were driving to my grandparents' house, they said that he was brain dead. And I didn't know what that meant. So I said to my dad, I said, well, can they fix that? And he's like, no, it's done. It's over. And yeah, it was tough to take. That was really hard. If I had been 20 years old, I think it would have been a lot different. But at 10 years old, it was really, really hard. And I remember the whole day was surreal. I mean, I can remember it like it was yesterday. It's 40 years ago almost. And there's a documentary coming, 3 documentaries coming up about it this year, but one of them is just going to be incredible by Charlie Min. And I remember running patterns in the backyard football. My dad was throwing me footballs, and I could almost hear my feet in my ears when I was running. I could hear a pounding in my ears. And it was just like everything was in slow motion, and time was just it was painful. It was just a really horrible, sick feeling. And then I remember something my dad said. He said, I feel empty. And I never heard that term before. I didn't know what that meant, but somehow I knew what that was. Like somehow I understood what he felt. Empty. Like, what do you do? How do you understand? How do you cope with this? And it's tough when you're 10 years old. It's tough when you're 50, let alone when you're 10. But you know, I didn't know him personally, but in a real way, he was a part of my life. I mean, I lived through these guys. When these guys were successful, I was successful. When these guys won, I won. And the neighborhoods in South Philly would be decorated with, when they were in the finals in '85, the windows were like Christmas. There were flyers, pennants, and all kinds of jerseys and streamers and everything all over the place. And it was like all these neighbors got together, and some had Prism and some didn't, which was a premium channel in Philadelphia. And the people who had Prism would open their door, and you'd have 15 kids watching the Flyers games in the playoffs in '85, just going crazy. And it was just amazing, an amazing time. And like I said, it's more than hockey. It's a connection to family. It's a connection to Christmas for me. It's a connection to, my parents, my cousin, and my family. It's just something that is more than the sport itself. It just transcends the sport. But that's I remember that night when it was time to go to bed. I was looking at a hockey magazine that I had gotten over the summer, and one of the stories was about Pelle Lindbergh. And I remember looking at it and trying to reconcile in my 10-year-old head, how in the world is this him in a magazine talking about his great season and how he's becoming the greatest goaltender in the world, and he might have 7 or 8 years of greatness ahead, and tonight it's over, when 24 hours ago everything was normal, everything was fine, and it's 24 hours later and it's all complete. I mean, yeah, he was brain dead. He wasn't actually, they didn't take him off of the machines until later that week on that Wednesday, but for all intents and purposes, it was over. It was all done. And I spent years trying to, and I still do, try to reconcile that. It's still, the 10-year-old part of me is still there. It's not like it goes away. It's inside of you. It just doesn't. You learn to deal with these things better as you get older, but you don't deal with them real well when you're 10. I can tell you that. At least I didn't. I was really damaged by that. Every and I don't know if this is good or if this is bad. I really don't. When I turned 20, so 10 years later, I'm walking in the mall in New Jersey, and it was close to the accident site. And I saw a guy who was selling Flyers games, old Flyers games from the '80s, and he had a Pelle Lindbergh memorial tape. And it was all the news footage of that day. It's 2 hours long of news footage from that whole week, really, from beginning to end, from the Sunday morning when he was in the accident at 5:40 in the morning, and then up until really the end of the week. And I bought it, and I took it home, and then I went back the next day because he had Pelle Lindbergh's last game, and I thought I want that too. I want to have that. And I was a kid. I didn't have any money. I was 20 years old in college. I had barely any money, but I had $50 to buy 2 tapes, and I bought the 2 tapes. every November, I pop in the tapes. So on November 6th, which was, or 7th, which was Pelle's last game against the Chicago Blackhawks, I'll pop in the tape and watch the game as if it were happening then. And somehow, some way, I'm transported back into that 10-year-old kid again. It's amazing. And it's all normal. It's like, that's the way life should have been. That's the way that was supposed to be. That's the way it was. And that it should have gone on for a long time. And then it should have ended naturally with a retirement. And, God only knows if he would have played into the 90s, probably. He'd probably been a backup goalie somewhere at some point and then hung him up. But I watched that game and I think, man, he has no idea that in less than 3 days, he's going to be gone. He's not going to be around. And then during that week, on November 10th through the week, I watched that tape, the memorial tape, and I just go back to it and still try to make sense of it, try to understand it. I know on an intellectual level how to take it. I know how to understand it. Emotionally, it's not as easy. And I am an emotional person. I have very high highs and very low lows, and that was a real low. And that whole season to me, when I think about that Flyer season, and they were great that year. They won 53 games, same as the year before. So they played almost as well without Pelle as they did with him. And that's still the year Pelle died. Even if they won the Stanley Cup, it would have still been the year Pelle died. It was, yeah, you're still rooting for them, and I was still excited to watch the games, but there was always that nagging feeling. And I remember the small 31 on his shoulder, the players, in tribute to him. They skated around with the 31 on their shoulder all year long, which was his number. They kept his locker and his Swedish plate. So every year, November 10th, I pop in that video, and that week I watch that as if I am living it again. And again, it's trying to just reconcile it still. I mean, you think, gee, how could he still be doing it? It sticks. It sticks. So I've tried to think about things to do for years to honor Pelle. And I started in 2005. I was going to write a book. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but there was somebody else writing a book in Sweden. And he also had a good friend of mine, Bill Meltzer, write the English version of the book. So I was like, all right, so a book is out. But I interviewed a lot of people. I interviewed Kevin Cady. I interviewed Jay Snyder, Mark Howe, Brian Pratt. I really got to know these guys pretty well. I mean, they gave me their numbers, and they couldn't have been more gracious. And to a nobody 30-year-old who was just trying to do something. And I felt defeated. And then I wrote a screenplay about Pelle. It's based on actual events, but it is some of it is fantasy as well. But it's a story about how Pelle befriends a young kid, because Pelle did. I met and interviewed some kids that Pelle played with on the pond. Could you imagine? This guy's the best goaltender in the National Hockey League, and he's playing pond hockey with kids in New Jersey. So the screenplay is all about Pelle, and the other part of it is that the kid at the end, he's a sick kid, and he winds up getting Pelle's liver, because Pelle did give his organs. And the name of the movie is The Ultimate Save. Now, most people know that most screenplays will never hit the light of day, and mine probably will never hit the light of day, and that's fine. I got it done. I wrote it. It's 120 pages. Would I love it to get picked up? Sure. I don't give a crap about the money. I mean, that doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, people are like, well, you think you could get rich off? I couldn't care less. I'm not wealthy now. So I've lived all my life as a middle class person. If I do better, I do better. If not, I don't. It doesn't matter. What matters to me is conveying that essence of who Pelle was. So that was in 2009. I wrote that. In 2017, I started a documentary called Keenan's Kids, and it's about the whole Flyers team, because as much as Pelle was a huge part of it for a short time, unfortunately, he there was more to this story, and there was a redemption. They picked up the pieces the next year, and they got a new goaltender, Ron Hextall, and he wound up playing really, really well. I would have to say that Lindbergh was the better goaltender, but Hextall was very, very good, and got them all the way to the finals again. And this time they lost to the Edmonton Oilers for the second time in 3 years, this time in Game 7. So it was the ultimate deciding game, Game 7. And again, the neighborhood was decorated. We had windows, tons of memorabilia in the windows, pictures and pennants and jerseys and you name it, it was in the window, cups, Stanley Cups and stuff like that. And the week that Pelle was in the accident was like that too. The neighborhood, all these row homes, not every one of them, but most of these row homes were decorated with Pelle Lindbergh material, some kind of a memorial to Pelle in all these windows. It was again, if you saw it, you'd be astonished by it, because I don't think it would happen today. I don't think people connect with athletes the same way they connected with those athletes back then. They were not well paid as far as what the athletes get paid today. Much more laid back, much more fan-friendly hockey players than any of the other sports. It's almost to a person. Now, that's probably changing as the players get richer and more famous and asked to do more things. But the guys from the era that I watched, the 80s, the 90s, they are as humble as it can be, and just great people. So we had a connection to them. They were us, and we were them, and it felt great. And one other thing I remember is, people avoid the fact, and it's a fact, that Pelle was drinking that night, and he was speeding, because he always sped. He had a Porsche that was turbocharged, and it could go from 0 to 60, I think, in 4 seconds or 3 seconds, some crazy number. And it was a mistake. I mean, he paid for it. I mean, what else did people want? It was a bad decision. It cost him his life, and that's horribly sad. I wish there was a mulligan where you could just say, all right, well, let's take one of these things out of the equation. Let's take the drinking out, or let's take the speed out, or let's take the weird curve out that he hit the wall. I mean, you take away one of those things, and it's different. And those things haunt me. Those things, like, if only this, if only that, and it's so hard to, even at my age now, to reconcile that, to get to understand it. And then over the years, as I watched that video, I saw Kathy McNeil, who was a passenger in the car, and also Ed Parvin Jr., who was a passenger in the car. And it started to dawn on me that it wasn't all about Pelle. So as I'm getting older, now I'm starting to understand. Now I'm 20, I'm watching the video. I'm 22, I'm 25, I'm watching the video. I'm getting in my 30s, I'm watching the video. And, I think about Kathy McNeil, and I think about Ed Parvin, and I wonder what happened to them. What are their lives like? What were their lives like then? What did they feel? Were they excited that they were able to be in the inner group of those people? I mean, I would have given my right arm to have been a part of that group. And in some ways, through the alumni and making connections with them in a very, very small way, I feel like I am connected to that group, because we do things together sometimes. I mean, we're not best friends, but we do some things for charity, and they help me out with my charity. Hey, there's Kevin again. I see Kevin's there. Yeah, Kevin's just a remarkable guy. Amazing. He was a trainer for the Flyers, but he was also an equipment manager too. And he became a police officer, did incredible work in Maine and in Florida. Just stand up, man's man, the kind of guy that you want to have a beer with, kind of guy that you want on your side if you need something, or if he needs something, you'd be there for him. But I remember, thinking about Kathy McNeil and Ed Parvin, um, and mostly Kathy, because Kathy, she was on American Almanac. There was a TV show. It's very short lived, and I got it on tape, which is amazing. I mean, what are the odds? But I got it on tape, and it was with Connie Chung, and she did a story on Kathy McNeil and on Pelle Lindbergh and Kathy McNeil. And I remember watching that, and Kathy McNeil was an absolutely beautiful, stunning woman, and she was in 1984 Miss Delaware County. She probably could have gone on to other modeling or pageants and things like that. Um, and she wound up, I found out just a few weeks ago that she was on Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling from the 80s, which I watched as a kid. And I didn't know that she was in that. I had no idea. But I think that was really cool that she went out to LA, and then she got into some film and had some parts and got into Glow. But I knew none of this until just a couple of weeks ago. So when I would watch these videos, I would think of Kathy, and I would think, everybody focused on Pelle, and I understand why, because he was the famous one. He was the one that everybody lived through, and she wasn't well known. So, she kind of went on the back burner. And when I was going to write the book, when I was 30, 20 years ago, I talked to people about her. I said, do you think I should try to track down Kathy McNeil? And they said, "Oh, don't even try." They said she'll get angry, and she won't want to talk to you, and she wants to put that part of her life past her. And I accepted that on their recommendation. I didn't want to do anything that, I mean, look, she's the victim. It's not me. I'm not the victim. She's the victim. So her feelings were more important than what I felt. So I didn't approach her at all. I didn't even try. And then when Facebook came out, I even looked to see if she was on Facebook, but I saw her, but I didn't even reach out. I just kind of was like, well, I'm glad to see that she's doing well. And I could tell it was her because it looked like her. And she had Phillies and Eagles stuff on. So she's still a Philadelphia fan now that she's out in Arizona. But my friend Charlie, who's doing a documentary on Pelle Lindbergh, and he's doing really the documentaries on the accident. I mean, it's really that's the focal point. Whereas my documentary is on the team as a whole and trying to talk about the redemption of getting through that, going to the Stanley Cup Finals and almost winning the Stanley Cup. But Charlie's, and that's not a knock against Charlie, but his is about the accident. So he did get in touch, or he asked me about Kathy McNeil, and I said, well, from what I hear, it's not a good idea to really bother her. Maybe we should leave that alone. And Charlie, being Charlie and being as good as he is, and this is why he has 45 films under his belt, he said, no, let's go for it. So he emailed one of Kathy's friends, or messaged her on Facebook rather, and the friend thought it was a spam or some kind of a joke or whatever. And the friend seemed irritated, I think, with Charlie. She blocked him, and she wasn't angry, but I think she said, I don't know what you're talking about or whatever, and she just kind of dismissed it. So Charlie said, would you do me a favor? Would you see if you can get to this lady? And I can't even remember her name now. It's just a couple weeks ago. So, and she's out in Colorado where Kathy lived for a while. So I reached out to the lady and I said, listen, the long and the short of it was, we really would like to talk to Kathy about the Pelle Lindbergh incident. If she can't, then forget it. It isn't to be, and that's fine. If she is, it would be amazing to get her perspective after 40 years. It's going to be 40 years in November. And I really was very sincere and meant every word that, look, if she doesn't want to do it, I don't want to upset her. I mean, look, that's a tough thing to have to deal with. And a couple days later, I got a message that she had talked to Charlie, when she figured two messages couldn't have been an accident, couldn't have been spam. So she said that she got in touch with Charlie, and I messaged her back and I said, Kathy, I said, something to the effect of, I can't tell you how good it is to connect with you. And I've always wondered about you. I've always thought about you. And especially around that time, November 10th, I think about it and think about what you're doing and where you are now, whether you're married and have kids and all these different things. And as wonderful as she is, she said, let me call you next week. She was busy because she was flown in to do the interview, and then she had to fly back to Arizona. And we finally caught up with each other last week, and it was an amazing phone call. It was just so cool to hear her voice, and I really tried to stay away from the accident part of it. I mean, of course, in little drips and drabs it came up, but mostly we talked about life in general. And one of the things she told me was that I said, it's kind of not fair that you had to suffer so much, and you didn't get the kind of coverage, and of course you wouldn't if you're not the celebrity. But I said, but you were in it too. That was part of you. And her answer was really sweet. It was, she said, well, it was probably better that way. She said, it gave me time to heal and time to get come to terms with what happened. And she's living a great life now. She's married. She has a husband who had, and she's got a son and a stepson. She got into the climate. I think she said, I can't remember exactly what the job was, but I think she said something to do with climatology. And her son's in it now. And she's loving life out in Arizona. Her mother is still alive at 83, doing really well. And her mother's on that tape. Her mother, one of the big stations here in Philadelphia, WPVI, was really the main. They carried it. They did the greatest job with that week that any news station could do. They were just absolutely unbelievable. Gary Papa, Scott Palmer, Don Tollefson, they were just phenomenal. And they interviewed Marie, who's Kathy's mother, and I told Kathy, I said, I have it etched in my brain, what she said. And what she said was, Kathy's sitting up and she's talking to us, and that's all we could ask God for right now. And to hear that her mother's still alive and still well and 83 and still getting around and doing things, I thought, man, that's pretty cool. It's nice to hear that. Did the story have a tremendously happy ending? No. I mean, obviously, Pelle Lindbergh is still dead, and that's not going to change. But Kathy's life went on. I don't know much about Ed. I didn't talk to Ed Parvin. Hopefully someday I will. But Kathy's life went on, and she did some amazing things. And I can't wait to meet her. She said that we'll get together with the group when they do the premiere of the movie. It's probably going to be in either New Jersey or New York. And she said, and I asked Charlie if it was okay. She said, why don't you join us for the premiere? And I was like, oh man, I would love to, even though I didn't have anything to do with it really, other than track you down. I mean, that was it. We got another comment. So please, let's take it. Hey, Lucille, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. So she said, why don't you come? And I will definitely be there, whether it's in New York or whether it's in New Jersey. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be there. There's a part of me that wishes I had something to give still. I'm not jealous of Charlie. I'm happy for Charlie. I think this is great that he's doing this. Do I feel unfulfilled that I haven't been able to express some sort of tribute? Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, sure. I mean, but part of the healing was that phone call and knowing that, if I didn't reach out to Kathy that second time, she might not have been a part of the film. And she turned out to be one of the nicest people you could ever meet. I mean, I was 20 years ago scared to death to talk to her. I didn't know if she'd scream, if she'd be like, who are you to talk to me? Or I had no idea what the reaction would be, what her reaction would be. I was nervous, but I figured, hey, look, we go through this world one time. So at worst, I'll get screamed at and she'll block me, and that'll be it. But it turned out to be exactly the opposite. And I wonder if that's how God works. I think she said this, if I remember right, that God puts people in touch with other people. A lot of people have been talking to me about that lately, especially since I've been going through my divorce and all the other things that have happened. Having to sell my house and the things that not being able to send my oldest child to the college of her choice, and all the things that are hurting me right now. And maybe that was a pick me up. Here's Kathy, who went through hell, in a car that was crumbled beyond belief and survived it, got better. She got better not only physically, but emotionally. And that's probably the most important part. I mean, even if she walked around with a limp, that's nothing if you have your mental acuity. I mean, but she's mentally there. She's young, 62. She looks fantastic. She looks better now than she did when she was Miss Delaware County. It's amazing. It's like she has a time machine. So I'm just so happy for her, and it made me feel good to talk to her on the phone, and it made me feel that maybe that 10-year-old kid can relax a little bit now, and that 10-year-old kid could say, all right, it happened. It was something that was terrible. It hurt. It was something that has scarred you, and scars don't disappear. I tell people that all the time. People who are in relationships will say to me, well, I got to wait for my scars to heal before I can get into another relationship. You'll never end the waiting. Scars don't heal. They are the healing. The scars are the healing. Scars don't heal. Injuries heal, become scars. That's what you got to remember. So she kind of helped with that phone call, and not kind of, she did help an injured 10-year-old boy that lives in this 50-year-old body to feel better and to say it's okay. It's just part of life, and it's something that happened, and nobody wanted it to happen, but everybody got through it okay, and even Pelle got through it okay. If you believe in heaven and you believe that life goes on after this, then 100 years from now, we'll all be up there and we'll all be together and having fun and not worrying about any of this stuff. It won't matter anymore. So it was really a great week because of Kathy. And I was very sick last week. So she made me feel better that way too, because it took my mind off of, I lost 15 pounds last week with the stomach virus. So I was pretty weak. And, just to hear her voice, was something that I won't forget. And I can't wait to give her a big hug. I really can't. That's what I'm looking forward to. It's just giving her a big hug and thanking her for being so gracious and being just who she is. And it was really special. It was really special for me. And I hope it was for her too. So we're up against the 40-minute mark. So we are going to start wrapping up the show. So we're looking at June 21st for a memorabilia signing with Mark Howe and possibly Brian Propp. We don't have a location yet. And Mark and Brian would be signing their books. Brian would probably be selling his cigars and signing the boxes. I have some memorabilia that I'm bringing for them to sign. And to get in, part of the deal will be you'll have to buy a ticket to the game, the NHL celebrity hockey game coming up in August. You have to buy at least one ticket. So it'll be $70 to get your stuff signed. You'll be able to then come up. You'll have to pay for the book, whatever. So it might cost you maybe $120, $130 total, but you'll have a ticket to the game. You'll have the book signing. You'll have a picture with both of the guys, Brian and Mark, two great guys. You'll have their books, both autographed. and you can't beat it. So I just have to find a location. That's the hard part right now. And I'm waiting on Brian to see if he's available. Well, Mark Howe did get back to me and said he is available. So that'll be the stipulation that you have to buy a ticket to the game, $70, open bar game. Mark Recchi's playing in the game. Brian Prop's playing in the game. Todd Fedoruk, Riley Cote. So we're going to run the commercial of the last game. And I'll just finish up when the commercial's over and talk to you about what's going to happen that night. And this is what you'd be buying tickets for.
Hey everybody, I just want to tell you how thankful I am that you came out tonight and helped us out on a very special evening. Crohn's and colitis are terrible diseases and they affect a lot of people, not only in the Delaware Valley, but all over the world. And hopefully we can find a cure someday.
Nolan here with you at the Checkmates versus the Flyers alumni. We had a great time this afternoon. Game was close, and we're all here for Checkmates Charities, which is the real reason that everybody's here, not only the players, but all the fans that were here. It was a great day, and we're really happy to be here.
It was fun to be out here at Northeast Skate Zone because the Checos were a pretty good team, and so we had a lot of fun with the charity.
And it was good because they took it easy on us old guys. So we had a good time. So anytime you can do something for charity, and I know a couple guys on the other team, and just to be on the rink, we all go have fun.
Good times go. I'm either gone in an instant or here to the bitter, and I never know what I got.
I want to thank my family for all that they did to help me get through this, and there's a lot of planning that get done. It has to get done. I want to thank Nick's Roast Beef and Common Avenue for all they've done. Dr. Prieto for saving my life and finding the disease and treating me for so long. And the Flyers organization for all they do to help us raise money every year. So thank you everybody, I appreciate it.
I'll see you when I fall asleep. Baby, I'm ready to go. Baby, I'm ready to go. Baby, I'm ready to go.
So we're getting ready to go. $70 for a ticket will get you 2-hour open bar, full buffet, the game ticket. You get to watch the game. Mark Recchi's playing, Brian Prop, Chris Terrian, Todd Fedoruk, Riley Cote, and we're working on some others, some surprises. We have other. There they are. Mark Recchi right there. I mean, maybe Rod Brindamore. We're still trying with Rod Brindamore. He's got a tight schedule, but Brian Prop's committed to play, and we're just excited. Maybe Kevin Deneen, we're working on him, Doug Crossman. So a lot of the guys that you might remember, Chris Terrian was more the 90s. And you get your tickets right there at the website, which is www.checkmatescharity.com. And again, $70, the game, 2-hour open bar, full buffet. We have a dinner with the players. They're going to come to the dinner. We can hold 700 people in the restaurant. So please, let's pack that place. And 1,000 people could fit in the rink. So we could have 1,000 people at the game, and then we could have another 700 or 700 at the dinner. We have another comment before we go, so please, I'd like to take that. What an awesome journey. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Rachel has always been great to us. Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, she misses decorating the house during the playoff time. Yeah, that's what we used to do in Philly. That was a big deal. That was a big deal. So I want to end on this. I just want to tell you, Kathy was really gracious about knowing my story about what I've been through with my surgery and how my life changed through my surgery. And, she was really sympathetic to that. And people tell me that inside my chest beats the heart of a hockey player, because even though I don't have the talent to be an NHL player, I have the heart to be one. Well, Kathy McNeil does too. She's got the heart of a hockey player, and I hope Kathy knows that. And I hope I get to tell her that in person. She's a warrior. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll keep us at #1, and we will see you next week.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host, and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur, or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming, and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com. In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session. or drjacqueline.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations.
Meet Red O'Loughlin, TV show host, presenter, and author.
Howdy y'all, Red O'Loughlin here. I'm a TV host on the USA Global TV and Radio Network.
Red has 3 weekly shows every Thursday.
I've been a TV host now with USA Global probably maybe just a little over 3 years. Probably, I know for sure, 250, 300 shows.
Join Red on the Corner Bookstore.
The Corner Bookstore is one where we talk to authors, publicists, publishers, editors, cover designers, anybody associated with the writing and authoring book production business. You have somebody in that area, I can help you with regard to getting your book done, getting it published, working with you on a cover. A lot of things I can help people with, and I have probably maybe published over 40 books for people so far.
Join Red on The Wise Ones.
On the Wise Ones, I'm looking for entrepreneurs, business owners, people who have wisdom, lessons learned over time that they can share with others. So please go to usaglobaltv.com, sign up, and join me there.
Book your session on usaglobaltv.com. Join Red on Talking Heads.
On Talking Heads, I take my experience. I fell in love with chemistry many years ago, got a degree in it, got an invitation to Vietnam, never practiced chemistry per se, but I did get a chance when my wife was going through chemo to get back into the chemical end of things. I started looking for cause and effect relationships. I had been working at a company doing cause and effect analysis on failures in the field on various products that we made. So I said, why not look at the cellular structure in the body? The chemicals are chemicals, they do certain things. So I take my knowledge of chemistry and research, I write about it, I speak about it. I have over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn, most of them dealing with some aspect of health or wellness. I speak on that topic quite often, and the Talking Head show is one that I concentrate my knowledge of health and wellness on in order to help people.
Red is a distinguished Toastmaster.
As a distinguished Toastmaster, I help people get their speeches developed. The presentation is something that I critique all the time with Toastmasters. It's one of those skills that I have. I can easily help you on that one. So from a position of writing, publishing, book coach, speaking, and being a keynote speaker at an event or virtually, depending on how things work out. But those are the things that I can help people with, and I have 3 shows every week here on the USA Global TV and Network, and please join me when you can. Appreciate it. Bye now.
Here are some of the books that Red has written and published. Contact Red at redolaughlin.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.